Hey guys, let's talk about converting radians to degrees and degrees back to radians. 360 degrees is the equivalent of 2 pi radians. So on a graph, if we have one full circle, or 360 degrees, we also have 2 pi radians. And if we mark this 0, 90, 180, 270, 360 degrees. This 360 degrees, or full circle, is equivalent to 2 pi radians. Well, what if we just want 1 pi radian? We just get the radians by themselves. We divide both sides by 2, and we find that 180 degrees is equivalent to 1 pi radian. So what if we have 540 degrees and we want to convert it to radians? Well, we multiply it by what we want over what we want to get rid of. So what we want is going on top, radians. What we want to get rid of is going on bottom, 180 degrees for every radian. That's why it's going on bottom. So we would be left with 540 pi over 180. 540 is divisible by 180 3 times. So we get 3 pi radians. Now what if we want to take those 3 pi radians back to 540 degrees? Again, we're going to multiply it by what we want over what we want to get rid of. So we want degrees, and there's 180 degrees for every pi radian. And we want to get rid of the radians. 3 times 180 is 540, or 3 pi times 180 is 540 pi. Over pi, the pi's cancel, and we're left with 540 degrees. Let's do some more examples. What if we're given negative 2 pi and asked to convert it to degrees? We multiply it by what we want, degrees, over what we want to get rid of, pi. Negative 2 pi times 180 is negative 360 pi. And you could put the degrees in here. Negative 360 pi degrees. I just think it's easier to think of it as negative 360 pi and then put the degrees on at the end. And it'll be divided by pi. So the pi's cancel out, and we're left with negative 360 degrees. What if we're given negative 90 degrees and asked to convert it to pi? We multiply it by what we want over what we want to get rid of. So we're left with negative 90 pi over 180 degrees, which is the same as saying negative pi over 2, because it's 1/2 pi. What if we have 225 degrees? And we want to convert it to radians. Multiply it by what we want to get rid of, or multiply it by what we want, over what we want to get rid of. So we have 225 pi all over 180. You might not notice it right away, but 45 goes into both of these. It goes into 225 5 times, and it goes into 180 4 times. So we're left with 5 over 4 pi radians, or 5/4 radians. What about negative pi over 6? Convert it to degrees. I'll scroll down here. Multiply it by what you want, degrees, over what you want to get rid of, radian. So now we have a negative 180 over negative 180 pi over 6 pi. Now how many times does 6 go into 180? 30 times. So we're left with negative 30 degrees. (330 degrees). And we want to convert it to pi. So we want pi radians. Let me switch to color. We want pi radians. We want to get rid of degrees. So now we have 330 degrees pi over 180. And if you can see it, 30 degrees goes into both of these. It goes into 330 11 times. And it goes into 180 6 times. And we're left with 11/6 pi radians. What about pi over 24 radians? It'll be the same as before, but it'll be a much smaller number. We want degrees, so we're putting our degrees on top. We want to get rid of radians, so we're putting those on bottom. We get 180 degrees pi over 24 pi. I used a calculator and found that 180 divided by 24 is 7.5. Our pi's canceled, and we were left with degrees. 7.5 degrees. What if we're given negative 15 degrees? This will be our last one. And we want to convert it to radians. Multiply it by what we want, radians, over what we want to get rid of, our degrees per radian. We get negative 15 pi over 180 How many times does 15 go into 180? 12 times. So we're left with negative pi over 12 radians. Alright guys, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section below.